So let's be honest here, this inaugural season of Fear the Walking Dead has had its slow moments, and honestly every episode has been painfully slow at times, but I think that this week's episode was the best so far. A lot happened, the storyline really progressed, and overall I'm feeling a lot better about this series. So it seems the residents of at least one California neighborhood are living in kind of a false reality. It seems like everything is okay, you can lounge in your pool all day, you can jog down the street, but let's be real. This reality, this false reality they have, is really not going to last much longer. And by not much longer, I have a feeling by next week's episode, things are going to be totally crazy and you won't be able to lounge in that pool anymore. So the main characters of this show are now in a gated community, which sounds super posh and amazing, but that's not the kind of gates we're talking about. We're talking about the government coming in and fencing in a certain section of this California city, I guess a suburb of LA, because they've deemed a lot of these stuff outside as dangerous territory. Now they're telling people that everyone's pretty much dead because they were infected, aka zombies, on the outside, and these people inside the gates are the lucky ones. I'm not so sure about that though. At least they are away from the zombies for now, at least. So Travis's son is totally not buying this. He's up on the roof and he notices that there is life on the other side of those gates, and there are people who are not zombies and they need help. Like they're giving him the SOS flashing light distress signal. And he starts to really freak out about it. What we don't know is why the government is picking and choosing who they are helping. Now it could be that they feel like the people who are still alive on the other side who seem healthy, they feel like maybe they came in contact with some unhealthy people and they're worried that they will also turn or become infected. So that could be the case, but from this episode it just really looks like the government is being totally insensitive. So the fact that is mesmerizing here is what is the deal? I mean, there is a curfew going on inside the gates, and what I like about this episode is that the community overall is not really buying the story that the government is giving them. The government, aka the National Guard, has been pretty short with people when they tell them what's going on, but they assure them that things are going to get back to normal in just a matter of time, which we all know is totally false and is never going to happen. But hey, the National Guard may actually believe that they are going to restore peace and happiness throughout the whole US, or at least that part of California. So Travis's son realizes that this is not true at all, and he's trying to convince Madison of the same thing. The Worst Person of the Year award in this episode definitely goes to Nick. This is pretty much the main character of the show, the son of Madison. Because he is a drug addict and he needs to get his fix, he is actually stealing morphine from a drip that is intended for a sick neighbor. And this neighbor is not sick like zombified sick, but they were actually sick beforehand. So this in turn makes Nick a pretty sick guy. Travis needs to buy a clue in this episode because he's totally taking in all the garbage the National Guard is chucking at them, and he's like, yeah guys, everything's gonna be awesome and back to normal. We just need to wait a little bit and things will be better. So he totally is jogging down the street just like it's, you know, another day. But then thankfully in this episode, he starts to see signs of life and sees that people across the fence are, you know, flashing their lights and saying, please help us. And then he's starting to wonder, like, okay, so what is really going on here? Madison's like, I'm going to figure this out on my own. So she actually cuts through part of the fence and goes to the other side, which is really dangerous because, you know what, I think that she totally would have been shot and killed if anyone from the National Guard saw her. She did have to hide at one moment because they were coming down the street. So what she saw was pretty scary, dead bodies everywhere, and guess what? It wasn't just zombified people who were dead, it was people who weren't even sick, regular people who have been like shot and killed, and we really don't know why. So Madison lets Daniel know. Daniel's the guy who owned like the barbershop downtown. She's telling him that the government is killing innocent people. Of course, he's been the voice of reason this entire season, and he tells her, you know what, you better act quickly when all this stuff goes down, because it's getting ready to go down soon. He's known all along that it's not going to get any better. So Nick's mom finds out about his drug theft, and in one of the best parts of this episode, she totally gives him a smackdown, which I felt was well deserved. Thumbs up if you enjoyed Madison's smackdown of her son, because I found it quite hilarious and definitely appropriate. So Daniel's wife is not doing well at all. You'll remember she was injured when they were trying to escape to get back to Madison's house, and her foot injury is getting much, much, much worse. She's going to need surgery or she will lose her foot. So they say that they will get her help. They're going to have to take her away from this gated area to get her to some medical care. And at first they told her that her husband could come with her. We have a big problem here, because when they come to get her, they tell her husband his name is not on the list. Instead, Nick is on the list. Here's where things get a little bit confusing. I'm not really sure why they want to take Nick. I mean, we know he has a drug problem. They know that, I think. But why does he need to be taken away from medical care? Of course, he freaks out and tries to run away. Then he gets knocked out by one of these soldiers, and they're able to cart him off. Of course, everyone freaks at this point. Travis now knows that you really can't trust these people from the government. Madison's freaking out because no one will say where they're taking him. But even worse, they decide they have to take Liza. Liza is Travis's ex-wife. She's been giving people medical care in the neighborhood, and they say they need her because she needs to assist in medical care for others wherever they're taking all of these people. So I really don't know if we're ever going to see these three characters again. I have a pretty good feeling that Daniel's wife is not going to survive. I could definitely see them getting rid of Liza. Nick is the main character, so I'm not really sure what to think about that. Do you think he will live or survive? Please let me know down below. But what is interesting to me is that after all this goes down, Madison tells her boyfriend Travis that it's all of Liza's fault. Liza's Travis's ex-wife. So what do you think she means by that? Because I wasn't quite clear on why Liza is getting the blame. I do know there's a lot of tension there between the ex-wife and the new girlfriend, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. Again, I really thought that it was a very awesome episode, but I also am wondering why Nick was taken away by the government. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. And at the very end of the episode, it appears that Alicia, who is Nick's sister, Madison's daughter, is preparing to take her life because she's just assumed at this point that Patrick, her boyfriend, is dead. She's writing him a letter. If perhaps he is alive and reads the letter, she wants him to know she's sorry. But if not, then she thinks she'll be joining him soon. Let's hope she doesn't go through with that, because there's just really no need, Alicia. There's only 2 episodes left. This has been an extremely short season, but like I said, I felt like this week's episode was a turning point for this series, and I'm really into it at this point. I think the next 2 episodes will be action-packed. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked this episode like I did, and if you didn't like this episode, just tell me down below what issues you had with it. What do you guys think is going to happen in the next 2 episodes? I can't wait to find out. I think we're going to see a lot of the cast members get killed or get eaten or some of both, which, you know, I'm okay with that because I knew going in this was a gory zombie show, so I think we're going to lose most of the cast in this one. So I'll be back next week with a recap of Fear the Walking Dead, and that's the last episode before the finale. So thank you again so much for watching this episode of Kellie TV. I'll see you next time.